Alright guys, so today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the last time Luffy was relative to Zoro. Now, it's been quite some time since Zoro's been at the forefront of the Straw Hats, and there's a good reason for that, right? Zoro hasn't really gotten as many power-ups, and definitely not with the same magnitude as Luffy. Zoro has done his best to keep up, and I think Oda is doing his best to keep him relevant as the Straw Hat second in command. But there's only so much you can do when you have a character like Luffy leading the group, right? And as we get closer to endgame, we've seen more and more power-ups from Luffy, and in a way that's really putting him over the edge compared to not just the rest of his team, but in fact the entire world. Now, Luffy within the most recent chapters, of course, has gone up to Gear 5, as pretty much everyone knows. But Luffy's also gained Conqueror's Haki, Ryo Advanced Armament Haki. If we go back a bit further, he's gained his Snake Man abilities, and he's also gained Future Sight, which is Advanced Observation Haki. Now, within just the last two major arcs, that being Wano and Whole Cake, Luffy's actually reached a level that most people didn't even predict he'd reach almost ever, if not within the time span that he did. So compared to most of the fighters, especially including Yonko level fighters, Luffy's really scaled almost exponentially within just the last two arcs. So just looking at those two alone, Zoro's done quite a bit. He's also gained Conquerors. He's been able to coat himself in it. And he's also gained a few techniques that have been on the level of damaging Yonko level characters when he powers up. Now, those are almost ultimate attack level moves where once he uses them, he pretty much loses ability in that limb for a while. But other than that, he has gained very strong abilities. But there was no consistency, and they're pretty much ultimate attacks. Now, the thing here is that Luffy has gained the same, if not greater level of power as Zoro, but with higher consistency, meaning there's pretty much no drawback so long as he stays in his Gear 5 or Conqueror's coding state. Now, there is a lot to add to that because he is doing this, and Gear 5 does knock him out after so many minutes from when he fought Kaido, but as long as he's in that form, he is on that level. But with Zoro, he does again have the drawbacks where it's like one or two attacks and that's it, and you know they're coming for the most part. So it does add quite a bit of difference between their abilities and how they can use them. Now, if we go one step even further behind that and go back to Dressrosa, Luffy gained Gear 4 at that point, which a lot of people thought was the peak of his Haki abilities and awakening. Of course, it wasn't. But what we know here is that he did actually just gain a whole new level of abilities, where Zoro was without a doubt under Doflamingo, right? Still a warlord at that time. And Luffy was actually beating him for the most part, except in a few awakened scenarios. But even then, Zoro wasn't on the level of Luffy, and it was very clear cut. So I'm still trying to think and go back, what arc do we actually see relativity between Zoro and Luffy? And to be honest, I don't think there's any place beyond when they first introduced Zoro, and he's actually considered by some people stronger than Luffy at that point in time, and that's up until the Baratier Mihawk incident. And so from then on, it seems like Luffy was made to outshine Zoro in that way, pretty much from there up until where we are currently. So if you want to ask the question of when was Zoro last relative to Luffy, pretty much when they started and met each other. Around that time and a little bit beyond was when Luffy started to outpace and outshine Zoro, pretty much all the way from Alabasta to Skypiea and beyond. So there isn't much more to add. And it looks like Zoro, as far as we're concerned, may not ever outpace or keep up with Luffy in a neck-and-neck scenario ever again. So I know you guys love Zoro. He's a great character. He's one of my favorites in One Piece. But he doesn't actually meet the bar of Luffy and hasn't for pretty much the entire series. That's it for now. More content coming soon.